Spartan God, what is up? You are first. Glad you could join me, my friend. Give me a second to tweet this out. J-Dog, what is up? What's up? He said technically I was first. Yeah, but you are the first viewer here. You are the first homie here. So we can put it that way, Spartan God. What's going on with y'all? Hope everybody's doing good this Sunday morning. I know I am. And I don't know if I felt this way in quite a while. I woke up this morning and I wanted the game. I wanted to play shit, but the internet was out, which, you know, I don't need the internet to play games, but I do need the internet to stream what I'm playing. So you playing some GT Sport, J-Dog? Hey, you got the VR, right? So you can play the VR part of GT Sport. I think by far GT Sport is the best racing game on the PlayStation VR, even if it's just trials, you know, even if you just racing one-on-one against the computer or doing VR time trials, it is clearly the best racing game on the PlayStation VR. It's just a shame that it doesn't have VR multiplayer. And I think that's the theme of this generation, you know. Jamal Adams, what is up? I think that's the theme of this generation. It's a shame that, you know, some of these games don't have VR multiplayer. They'd be so much more better, and some of them would be system sellers. Craig Harris, I was getting ready to send you a link, you know, for you to decide whether you wanted to join me or not. I will send you the link anyway. If you choose to join me, that will be great. If you choose to be a viewer, that is great as well. So sit tight, my friend, and I'll send you a link. Messages. Craig, 91.6 million sold Harris. All right. Paste. And there is the link, Mr. Harris. You know the proper flight pattern. You now have the coordinates. The normal sector 21. My guards will await you. And we will see you when you arrive to Wakanda. And I did not go through the propers. Yo, what is good, everybody? Boy, Lincoln Clay coming back at you. And we will see you when you arrive to. Wow. Was there a change of pressure within the dome that quick? Yo. Wow, that was quick. You must have had a new supersonic spaceship you got here in a hurry.
Yeah, I got it pretty quick today.
What's going on? How you doing, my friend?
Oh, I can't complain. Hanging in there, just updating some stuff on the PC and all that kind of good groovy kind of love.
Okay, so give me a second to finish the introduction, yeah. And then I'll ask you what you've been up to this week. Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Lincoln Clay coming back at you with another edition of Live from Wakanda. You know what to do. Hit the bell icon, hit the like button. The rest will take care of itself. If you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. And so, Mr. Harris, how's it been going this week?
I was busy. I've had a nice weekend. We got hit with some snow last night, this morning. But yeah, always just waking up and keeping it moving.
Okay. We had a lot of snow. Well, not a ton of snow, but it was cold enough that some streets were icy underneath that snow. And as expected, there was a lot of accidents. The town that I live in, I'll probably say about 15, 20 years ago, there was a plan to try to turn our town into like a baby Detroit or a baby Chicago. And yeah. I think they've decided to go in a different direction and want to turn Grand Rapids into like a middle-class town to try to attract a lot of middle-class people. And so they've done everything to try to turn Grand Rapids into a borderline in between middle and high-class town. So now, you know, we've got streets that have 4 lanes on them. Now they do still have 4 lanes. They have 2 lanes for cars and 2 lanes for bikes on the outside, which doesn't set in well with me. and it makes for streets that used to have a speed limit of 40 going all the way down to 25, and it doesn't set in well with me.
That can put a put a monkey wrench in the plan.
Definitely. Definitely. It's almost like I don't go through Grand Rapids unless I have, I live outside of Grand Rapids in Wyoming.
Yeah.
Because of what they're doing in Grand Rapids, they're trying to push all the broke people out of Grand Rapids and push them into the surrounding areas. Like I live in Wyoming, Kentwood, Walker. And the crazy part about it was, about 30 years ago was the total opposite. All the broke people lived in Grand Rapids, the hoods and shit like that was in Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
And the towns that I spoke of, Wyoming, Kentwood, Walker, that's where all the middle class people stayed. So if you was broke or you was black and you put a foot in one of those towns, the cops would be all over you. Especially Wyoming. Out of those towns that I mentioned where I live, Wyoming is the worst. But I think, the cops backed off of, as the demographic started to change and they started trying to get the middle class people to live in Grand Rapids and try to push all the broke people out to those cities. Nobody wanted to live there because of how racist the cops was. So I think the cops had probably gotten an order from the city to stop pulling over so many minorities to make Wyoming a more attractive town to come to. And so now it's like, now I don't see the cops pulling nobody over in Wyoming unless they really, really did something wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, that wouldn't shock me.
Well, I mean, because, bottom line is now that the middle class people moved out of Wyoming because it slowly turned it into a hood. So all the middle class people moved out of Wyoming and they're either moving to back into Grand Rapids or they're moving further out into the country where it ain't no broke people, But I think, the cops, like I said, they don't bother anybody. And this town used to be the worst.
Yeah. Well, the gentrification, it doesn't shock me.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. The gentrification of the neighborhoods. And that's why there's all these incidents now.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, white people don't have anywhere else to go live. So they have to move them back into the quote unquote hoods, and the people who are already there, they got to get them out of there somehow.
Yeah, and that's what's going on. I mean, they're getting them out of the hood, pushing them out to these cities that I spoke of, and all those broken down houses that was in Grand Rapids. They either demolishing the houses and building a nice one on top of it, or they're renovating those houses. And then we have an area in Grand Rapids called Heritage Hill, where houses like damn near about 100 years old, and they've been renovated, and they have a Heritage Hill plaque on it. And if it has a Heritage Hill plaque on it, expect to pay no less than $250,000 for the house. So
yeah, that increases the the wealth of the house, and it brings in a different kind of person that can afford the house. Then all of a sudden, their friends, he or she is telling their friends to come move in there. So yeah, doesn't stop me.
and because of the, mainly because of the Van Dandels and the DeVosses, those are the two rich families here in Grand Rapids. And when I speak of the DeVosses, I mean like Betsy DeVos, one of the right-hand people for President Trump. Yeah, she must have bought her way into that position, because I know at one point Richard DeVos, who's the owner of the Amway Corporation, he was in the top 100, Forbes top 100 of richest people in the, in the world or in America, whichever way they do it. But yeah, because of the DeVosses and the Van Dandels, downtown Grand Rapids is like medical facilities are being built everywhere. So downtown Grand Rapids is now called, has been nicknamed the Medical Mile, because there's medical facilities everywhere.
Yeah, they did the same renovation plan in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was, things were closing down and things like that, and they went medical. Now they have a booming medical thing, medical facilities up there, some of the best in the country, research, R&D, and things like that. So, but yeah, it is possible if these cities, get some hospitals, get some R&D in there, you'll attract new nurses, new technicians, and things like that up there. And agencies, travel agencies will. So a friend of mine, he's a nurse, and you mentioned Wyoming, he actually moved out there just as a travel nurse. He was out there for 13 weeks. And
To Wyoming, Michigan?
not in Michigan, Wyoming, Cheyenne, Wyoming. And
Okay.
yeah, so they opened up a new facility, they didn't have enough nurses, so he applied, and they hired him through the agency. So the agency paid for his apartment and gave him, I think, $200 extra just a month for spending. So his electric and cable and stuff like that. Then he said he was living out there. He was only spending about $70 of his money a month, just of his money to live.
Oh, shoot, that's nice.
Yeah. So yeah, it's so yeah, but I forgot. Yeah, you're in Wyoming, Michigan.
Mm-hmm. So tell me what your status is on Ace Combat 7. I mean, there's been from what I've seen, there's been an overwhelming amount of positive views about the game, and then there just the reviews, the opinions of the VR missions has been, overwhelmingly positive. So, that's something I plan to cover later on, in this podcast. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on where you're sitting on that game. If it's something you plan on getting, if it's something you're going to get the flight stick or what have you.
Yeah, I plan on trying to get it on the 25th. Got to knock a few other things out first. So yeah, that there's enough there. I'd go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and pick that on up. I probably know that a flight stick, because I need to get a flight stick for my PC. So I can, but Ace Combat plays pretty intuitively on just going by what Digital Foundry said. It plays pretty well on the gamepad. It always has. So from the one I can't remember, I remember playing Ace Combat 1, I guess, back on the original PlayStation. On these little bitty 23-inch the CRT TVs, eons ago. But yeah, I definitely plan on picking it up. It's definitely in the old proverbial wheelhouse. That I should be able to get that on Friday. Knock wood.
Cool. Did you see the flight stick that J-Dub had? Shout out to J-Dub.
Yeah, my goodness gracious. That looks like the stick and throttle of the F-16. So,
yeah.
So I'm like, man, it looks like the F-16 cockpit. So, it's looked pretty nice. Yeah, he did say it was the flight stick when he first got it was a little over 8. So, or 800.
Oh my goodness!
I can't remember if it was 300 or 800. It was nice though. So I don't know if it works. Sony's really, they did not do, I think, a good job of allowing third-party stuff onto their console. I mean, any Sony product pretty much works, but overall, a lot of stuff does not work. So, I have headphones and stuff like that here that don't work on the PlayStation. But nah, I don't. For me, it's going to be the only game I would use that on, and I do pretty well with Elite Dangerous, and that's no stick at all. I actually do that pretty well.
I would be led to believe the flight stick that I picked up, which I'll talk about that a little bit later. The Thrustmaster Flight HOTAS 4 stick. It was $80. It plugs into the PC because when I read the instructions, it said you can plug it into the PC and go to the website and download the latest firmware if it needs an update. So I would like to think that you could use that flight stick on the PC as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Then I may do that. Then I may go ahead and do that. So, but yeah, no, I hadn't planned on getting a flight stick for, but I do want to get the game. And I know, I guess, is it Resident Evil? Does that come out on Friday as well? And then the following Tuesday we got Kingdom Hearts. So
yeah. Now the Resident Evil, that's a game that I don't know. Have you played the demo yet? No,
I'm not buying that game until I see some walkthroughs so people can solve those puzzles. But I plan on getting Ace Combat because and I think it comes with Ace Combat. Does it come with Ace Combat 5 or something like that? I think it comes with another Ace Combat. So,
yeah, it does. It does come with Ace Combat 5, which I don't. I definitely don't have any intentions of playing that.
Right.
It's nothing against the game. It's just, fact of the matter is I bought Ace Combat 7
Correct.
Damn near exclusively for the VR missions, even though there's not much content there.
Yeah, I think though they plan on putting more on there,
which is what my hope was.
Yeah, you know that game apparently runs better on the Pro than it does on any other console. So
not only that, I think somebody in the comment section of a video I saw mentioned that the game is not enhanced for the Xbox One X.
Well, it's an enhancement over the S. The Xbox One S runs that game at like 720p. So the both consoles run the game at 1080p, and it's just the VR mode and a 1080p 60. But the VR mode is what's making it stand out on PlayStation, and it has better FPS overall. So, but again, good on both consoles, I would say, on the two premium consoles. But yeah, it's suffering bad on that Xbox One S.
It doesn't surprise me because at the beginning of the generation, the EA games were running in 1080p. Well, not quite 1080p, more like 9 something on the PlayStation, and they were running in 720p on the vanilla Xbox One. You know, Titanfall, the Battlefield games, all those games were running in 720p.
Yeah.
Please give me a second to shout out the chat. I definitely have to acknowledge them. You know, Spartan God, I'd say what's up to you. Mod Rozzy, Player United Gaming, Samuel Ashme, what is up? Robert Evans, what is good? J Dog Darkside, Robert Evans, what is up? Glad you all can make it.
Hit that like button, people.
Oh yeah. So as far as the Resident Evil 2 goes, I think that's a game that I'm probably just going to wait until it goes on sale, because for one thing, I haven't even finished Resident Evil 7 yet, and that's a game that I definitely want to finish playing in VR. I'm not going to lie, that was one of the launch titles for the PlayStation VR, and when I first got involved in the VR, a lot of the games were making me sick, and Resident Evil was one of them, and it was a double whammy because you had a game because of the teleportation movements was making me sick, and then you had these jump scares where people were jumping out at me, scaring the shit out of me. So it was, bottom line, it was a tough game for me to handle. So I didn't finish it, but now that I think Eric Arazo, has been forever. How you doing?
Oh, what's up, Eric?
Yeah, but now that I got my VR legs under me, virtually none of these games make me sick now, and I can handle it now. I got my VR legs under me, but I have not really messed around too much with the horror games lately, and it's time that I get back into that to see how I can handle it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with that being said, at some point, I plan to go ahead and finish Resident Evil 7. I also have the Inpatient. I have Weeping Doll. So I've got about 3 or 4 horror games, and I have to go ahead and play these.
Yeah. No, I plan when I get it, I'll be using the VR, at least on the VR mission.
I just saw your comment right there, Craig, where you said you didn't get sick off of VR yet.
Not yet.
See, one of the things with me, it was probably a given that I was going to get sick when VR first came out, because I'm a person that believes in keeping my feet on the ground. And when my feet is planted on the ground and something's telling me that I'm moving in a position that I'm not normally in, it was causing me to be sick, and because I'm a person that go to an amusement park and I will not get on the roller coasters, because that feeling of your stomach going all the way up under your throat as that, roller coasters going downhill, I hate that. It scares the shit out of me. And you think, people didn't understand how I would be scared to get on a roller coaster, but yet I'm not scared to do 150 miles an hour on a crotch rocket, because I used to do dumb shit on crotch rockets.
Oh yeah. I would close my eyes for at least 3 seconds at a time, and just kind of resets your brain. You close it, lets it reset, and then it's kind of like, oh yeah, my feet were on the ground. I was always kind of tapping a foot or something like that. Just reminding my brain that this is not, this is not real. Overwhelming to the senses. I mean, if they could add smell, that would override that would start overriding everything. But
Mm.
much more immersive than I ever from that first VR that I tried at Best Buy. Um, it was totally immersive, way more immersive than I had anticipated it being.
Mm-hmm. Just a minute. I saw King Thrash in the comment section. Mr. Thrash, would you like to come to Wakanda and see the sights? Oh yeah, it took a while for me to get my VR legs under me. I had to get used to these because the motion sickness and some of these horror games scared the shit out of me. That was one of the factors in me nearly selling my VR. But I was like, I paid $500 for this thing. I got to try to get some use out of it. So I went ahead and manned up, and toughed it out. And uncompetitive. What's up, Ice Queen Gaming? How are you?
How you doing, Don? Uncompetitive. How you doing?
So here's what I'll do. I will send Mr. Thrash a link and leave it at his discretion whether he chooses to join us. You see here, the King Thrash Gaming. Where's it at? Message.
It is early where King Thrash is, isn't it? Any West Coast?
Yeah, he is. It's 7:30 there, but I can't really say that he's up early because I got up at about 7:30. I actually got up twice. The first time I got up, it was about I don't know, about 4. So I'm cooking. If y'all on after, okay, all right, cool, all right, Thrash.
Yeah, y'all be cooking here about 1:30.
Okay. Give or take, I'm hoping to keep this at about an hour, give or take, because today is just one of those days where I'm just like, gaming is like crack today. I want to game today, and I mean a lot of it, and with most of it being VR. But that's the one thing about that Ace Combat 7. It doesn't have that wow factor to me the way Firewall did.
Yeah.
But it's got enough of the wow factor for me that I want more. That I want more missions, that I wish it had VR multiplayer. It is definitely good, and there are some wow moments in there. I mean, when that plane takes off from the carrier and you start to climb up, and I look out that window and I see myself climbing up, it feels like being on a real plane is like damn near scary.
Yeah, when J-Dub left that carrier, he was like, "Whoa!"
Now, myself, being on the carrier, watching the first plane take off, that was amazing. Seeing how quick that thing shot down that, down the deck.
Yeah.
When I finally took off, it didn't really feel like I was going terribly fast. It didn't feel like I was going like 400 miles an hour on that deck. It was fast, but once you hear all that thunder from the engines, and then once you leave the deck of that carrier and you start climbing, there's almost a little bit of a peacefulness to it. You can barely hear the motors because it's like a real jet. You can barely hear the engines, and then you look out that window and you see that island below you getting smaller as you climbing up. It just felt like being on a real plane. It was crazy.
Yeah, I noticed when he went through the clouds, it even got it condensed on his cockpit. I saw that even being up there. I was just like, geez, they really did go out of their way. But I mean, they're supposed to add more VR missions by the end of the year. They'll have more, at least 3 to 5 more missions VR on there. They got to, because
they have to. It was well received. Everybody that's tried this game in VR had positive things to say about it. They have to add more missions.
Yeah, so maybe Sony goes back to them and those little cheddar cheese on them and says, yeah, add at least 3. But my understanding is they're going to add at least 3 more VR missions.
And not only that, it shows that there is a market for VR, but I knew it. I knew this was happening. Like, as VR grows, already knew that there was 2 genres that would be system sellers for the platform. And one would be a first-person shooter, and we have that with Firewall. And then I said, as soon as they get some kind of, flight simulator, that's going to be a system seller too. They got a couple of flight games in VR, but it's some Lego blocks looking shit. And I'm like, once they get something that looks realistic, that's a flight simulator, it's going to be a system seller. And
well, that's what they were saying. That Sony has said that they had planned on putting more money into VR because more AAA. What do they call it? More, I'm paraphrasing. AAA
experience,
experiences into VR. So now that they know it, I'm sure. I mean, people can just email them and simply say, "Hey, look, love Ace Combat. Is there any chance that you guys plan on putting more VR missions on here?" Because my understanding is they are. And then maybe are they gonna? Because I have a VR game idea, but I guess I gotta run it by some people first just to see if they think it's a good idea.
Speaking of that kind of stuff, Emira17, who's a subscriber to this channel, and I've talked to him a few times over the PlayStation chat. He's taking classes for coding or whatever you call it, for game development.
Yeah.
And he's run some of his ideas past me. He wanted to know what I thought, and I mean, he had a really good idea for a game. But one of the big things that we talked about that I think that I can reveal is that the game that he has in mind would be so interactive and so detailed that there's no way it could be done on the current hardware. It'd have to be something for the next generation.
Do they do it on PC?
I would like to think so. Right now he's still in the stages of trying to figure out what he wants to do, but he's keeping me posted, and that's why I talked to him about if he was going to get the Dreams game and see if it would provide him with the tools that he would need the practice. But he did say he planned on getting it, but didn't know when. But I definitely want to have him come on the show. And talk a little bit about, what his plans are in terms of game development and stuff like that. There's some things that he can't reveal, but,
Oh, yeah.
But I definitely want to have him come on the show. We've talked about that a couple of times. So with that being said, let me go through my notes and go through the week that was.
Yeah, all righty.
Let's see here. Pull up my notes. And today is January 20th, so I am going to be going all the way back. I think that Saturday, January 12th. Okay, so Wednesday was the first day that I took a note that I thought, some stuff was newsworthy. And that was about the situation where Activision was putting players on they were putting them on blast for not buying season passes. Were you aware of that situation?
No. I mean, season passes for what game?
For the Call of Duty Black Ops. What it was is Activision was putting an exclamation point next to players who had not purchased the season pass. And that would make them stick out like a sore thumb. And, people believe the intent was for Activision to embarrass them and put them out on Front Street so everybody would see that they didn't purchase the season pass. And that would get other people who have the season pass to pressure you into buying the season pass.
Well, I mean, again, I just did not see why that game was such a big deal. You just ran around and waited for people to shoot you. And this is why, if they wanted to see, look, they should have put in a campaign. They would probably have more people playing if they had a campaign, and then you could consider getting a pass. But that's funny as hell to me. No, I did not know that they got put out on Front Street.
Yeah. So now, but the thing about it was everywhere. It was, it didn't matter, So what? This is the way it went down.
Mm-hmm.
The story broke. A lot of YouTubers were covering it, and they were talking about this is just how wretched, Activision is. This is why Activision is one of the worst publishers in gaming right now. They're everything that's wrong with gaming, which I agree with all that rhetoric.
Yeah.
But a couple of days later, after YouTubers had bombarded Activision releases a statement claiming that it was a glitch, that it was a mistake, that it was only intended to be amongst, private friends, where it was only the only way it was supposed to show up is if you were in a party with your friends and you were getting ready to play a game together. It would have a yellow triangle with an exclamation point in the middle of it to inform the friends that you do not have this pack. So either he goes and buys the pack, or everybody understands that you can't move on to the maps in the season pass. But I find that to be a coincidence that Activision released that statement only a couple of days after it received an overwhelming amount of negative views over the internet.
Yeah, that's I don't believe that.
I don't either, but some of the YouTubers act like they do believe it and try to retract their statements and was like, well, yeah, I do see where Activision saying that it's a glitch. I do kind of understand that, blah, blah, blah. And Mod Razi said it right there. It turned out to backfire because more people do not have the season pass than the ones that do. So right. Activision's attempt to try to embarrass people and try to shame them into purchasing the season pass backfired big time.
Yeah, because I know Activision, because what got them is they've already released a statement saying that their investors were mad at the and it didn't work. What they were doing didn't work. They didn't make the money that they thought it was going to make, and they're kind of caught up in their own BS at this point. So. They should never let that out about what their investors were saying, because when like people have said, when those investment banks and things like that, when they got involved, that was the end. Those guys don't care about the game. All they care about is their bottom line. So, and it's just reality. They're in it to make money, and if they can make, buying season passes and things like that, that makes them more money on the back end. Now that, people are not doing it as much, because you can still enjoy the game without the season passes.
Right.
I don't know what you get on a season pass, like when you get access to the maps early, big friggin' deal. It's like that map that you start with is huge. I mean, that's a giant map, so you don't have to keep changing it. So it is what it is.
Exactly. I do have the game, but only because my son wanted it. So, naturally the share feature gave me the game as well. But the game isn't even completely downloaded into my Xbox. It's only like 40% downloaded or something like that. And I just figure like I'll get around when I get around to it, because I really don't have any intentions of playing it. And don't forget that a couple of years ago that Activision had filed a patent for a matchmaking algorithm that matches people up, people who cannot play, people who are crappy at the game. It matches them up with skilled players who purchased microtransactions. And so when you get beat by that expert, it will reveal to you what weapons he were using when he beat you, in order to encourage you to go off and buy those same microtransactions in order to give yourself a fighting chance. So to reward you for paying for those microtransactions, their network, would match you up with somebody that has a much lower skill than you. So when you beat them, you feel vindicated that you bought those microtransactions.
Yeah, and they said why they do that. I think EA came out and said, look, there's a lot of people who don't have time to sit down and play a game for 4 to 7 hours and unlock things, and they got to give those people the ability to play the game too.
Which I understand that, but to put them in a position where you deliberately set them up to fail with a matchmaking algorithm that puts you at the bottom of the pile and throws you in there with some bona fide assassins, and then after they kick your ass, it shows you how they did it.
Yeah,
so I'm pushing you into buying it.
Yeah, and I don't disagree on that at all. So I mean, that's that is true. Yeah, that is true. So it's unfortunate. I was just uninstalling Forza 4 demo on PC, but no, I don't disagree with that. Yeah, it's again, that's who they're interested in. They're more interested in making the money and not providing you with a great, with a great experience.
Mm-hmm. So I want to respond to Mod Razi. He's asking me, how do you guys feel with the Gillette ads where black guy is always the good guy? Earlier this week, there was it caught the attention of a lot of YouTubers. I didn't even know this shit existed until YouTubers talked about it, mainly the quartering. Gillette has a new commercial or some kind of ad where basically they're slamming men.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't like it. I mean, when I really looked at the ad, it makes it seem like that a majority of the men are like that, but I mean, they're not playing around. They truly believe that there is a such thing as toxic masculinity. They think that's real, and it's just boys being boys and kids being kids, and it's just part of the pecking order. But they want a monogynous society that they don't feel threatened by, and at least in the United States, because I think that ad is coming out of England. I've seen more British people pissed off at it than anything, and it's breaking right down gender lines. I mean, there are a few women here in the United States that are like, look, we they're like, yeah, look, we don't like it, we don't like it either. Best way to put it, but overall, it sucks. And but it's the United States makeup is 52% women, so they're pushing their agenda. And what's this? They like I said, they want to declare the MGTOW movement and the Red Pill movement. They want to declare them hate groups. They're literally trying to get legislation to declare them hate groups. So because they're a threat to what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but I don't use Gillette. I use Dollar Shave Club. I recommend that for anybody.
I like me. I can't. As far as mustache and beards goes, I barely can grow peach fuzz even at 51 years old. So I don't see the need for me to go off and spend a lot of money on razors. I simply go to Dollar Tree and buy razors there. The only thing I found out about buying razors from Dollar Tree is that I can only use them once or twice and then I have to throw them away. So I'll buy those 10 packs where it's like 10 razors for $1.
Right. Yeah. No, I use Dollar Shave Club, and I usually get 3 shaves on. They send 5. They send 4 blades. So I just I recommend that. If you don't like what they're doing, just get Dollar Shave Club, not Harry's. Dollar Shave Club. It's like $4.99 for your first box, and then it's like $5, and they're super sharp blades. They give you a good shave. So, but
I hear you on that. So I guess in that subject, I really didn't know what the point of that. I really didn't know what the point of that commercial was.
Yeah.
It flew over my head because I really didn't care about it, and I'm like, okay, is this another commercial to appease SJWs or something like that? I was like, this shit's really getting annoying. It's, it seems like everything that's starting to come out, that's gender related or political, is something to either go toe to toe with SJWs or to try to appease them. It doesn't seem to be, there seems to be some kind of agenda behind everything that comes out now.
Well, again, I don't mind some feminism. I can appreciate why pretty much it's white women that started feminism. And yeah, that their husbands were coming home in the 50s and 60s and beating the crap out of them.
Well, they had to start the movement because as far as women goes, they're the majorities. Because, like I'm sure, whatever white women been screaming about that led them to start, this feminism movement. Black women have probably been screaming about it far longer than them because they've been treated like shit for far longer than them. So if white women didn't take the stand, nobody would. So
well, they couldn't. The first batch of feminism did not do well. The second batch that came through, second wave feminism, they did co-op black women, and that's what got them over the line. So again, a lot of the jobs, because they were coming home getting their asses whooped. you know, but and they wanted jobs that way. If they started getting beaten up or something, they could have money where they could go get their own spots, and that's kind of how that shit all started. It's metamorphed into what it is today. But
so yeah, this Gillette ad just like flew over my head. I was like, I didn't even know the shit existed until YouTubers started acting up about it. I could care less about this. It's not something that I'm going to waste. I'm not going to waste any breath.
I don't use the product, so
it's something I could care less about this situation.
Yeah. Like I said, if you don't like it, go. I recommend Dollar Shave Club, and don't buy any Gillette products. Actually, you shouldn't watch the NFL because the owner, the New England owner, runs Gillette. Okay, Robert Kraft, he's either on the Gillette board or something like that. So simply, because the New England game is the second game, don't watch it. Don't watch it. So but if you want to hit them in their pockets, just don't buy their products anymore. That's all you got.
Pretty much. So hold on a second. I swear to God, this microphone, man, it picks up everything. My son is playing Gears of War 4 right now, and he doesn't have the TV up very loud, but for whatever, because of his microphone picking it up, it feels like he's right next to me, and I keep wanting to take this headphone off and tell him to turn it down, but he doesn't have it up loud at all. But moving on to the next subject, EA has canceled another Star Wars game. So what is your take on that?
It doesn't surprise me. I know they haven't confirmed anything, so I know it's rumored. I know Respawn has one in the works. That's the one I thought everybody was talking about. And,
the one that everybody was talking about was the linear game that Amy Hennig was working on and Visceral Games was working on. And, they, as you know, in so many words, they fired Amy Hennig and they closed down Visceral Games and had the game moved over to EA Vancouver, I believe. And I guess they were going to take that game and expand it and try to turn it into a multiplayer game. And now it is rumored to be canceled.
Oh, yeah. Well, if it's going to be a multiplayer game, cancel it. I mean, Star Wars that's not a good multiplayer thing. They had Star Wars Galaxies. We had that on PC. Oh, boy, that's going back 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago. We had Star Wars Galaxies, and that didn't work out well. They shut those servers down. So, it's I certainly hope it cooler heads prevail, I hate the fact that they would cancel anything, but Amy Hennig, she can't catch a break, unfortunately.
Well, I felt sorry for Amy Hennig when she got fired, but after she got fired, she kind of like acted like she was going to flip the script and started saying that, okay, it seemed like she was starting to get on board with believing that multiplayer games is where it was at. She started to fall into this belief that she felt like single player games weren't very popular. They weren't selling very well. And her reason behind that is because the people will watch the game on YouTube rather than buy it. And she believes that's why, sales of single player games are slipping. And that made me say, hey, fuck you, Amy Hennig, because you let EA brainwash you. When EA fired you, is bad enough they fired you, but they like damn near put a permanent stain on you to make you believe that in order to survive, you have to make some multiplayer shit, which is far from the truth. So to me, that's almost like, I almost feel like if you create a certain type of food and then you get removed from your own business and then you start believing that the business that you created, that nobody's interested in that kind of food anymore.
Yeah. Well, EA did the same thing to Mass Effect. They put in a multiplayer and they thought this is where because they think that's going to, again, longevity. They're shooting for longevity. And, they truly believe that that by making it multiplayer, it will stay It would have a longer life. And it's
Well, they could have done both. They could have went ahead and let her work on the single player part of the game and then turned it over to somebody else to add the multiplayer.
I agree. No, you're right. I don't disagree.
But they fired her and they had her all fucked up, and then she started believing that single player games are not relevant anymore. And for that, I basically said fuck you, because I said fuck you to Amy Hennig, because you let these evil motherfuckers, fuck your head up so bad that you don't even believe in your own passion anymore.
I agree. You won't get a complaint out of me. So can't go back to Sony, I guess, because they're gonna have some more studios get announced. But it's unfortunate. Like I said, she just can't catch a break. But maybe she can do some stuff on the movie side. I do know that she's supposed to sit down and talk to the head of Sony movies before the well, not tomorrow, but sometime this week coming up.
Cyber Dragon, what is up? Last time I heard anything about her, that she was trying to start up her own studio and that she was interested in making VR games.
Yeah, and maybe and that'd be and again that may line up, because if she still wants to do a studio and then head a studio, and VR games could be small studios, and maybe give her a 12 to 15 man team and do something. Yeah, I can see.
So the reason why I feel that this EA cancellation is news is because it sparked outrage throughout YouTube, and there are a lot of people out there that are lobbying for Disney to take the Star Wars license back from EA, because they've had this license now for I don't know how many years, and the 2 Star Wars Battlefront games are the only games that's been produced from EA. So well, now the outrage, they want Disney to take the Star Wars license back from EA.
So I never understood why they just won't bring back Lucas Arts, because they made really good games. So I don't get it.
EA obviously stepped in with a plan. In my opinion, EA stepped in with a plan that we're going to take the biggest genre in entertainment and we're going to monetize the shit out of it. Yeah, because they had a big plan, and Star Wars Battlefront 2 was where they were planning on making their move. That was the big move that they planned on making, where they were going to try to bleed the shit out of everybody.
I don't disagree. It's that Star Wars community, man. They're not going to put up with that. They got all the way up to Bob Iger. And Bob Iger was on that phone call where they said for maybe less than a minute, and then all of a sudden EA changed their mind. But it wouldn't. EA with Respawn, I know they're making a game. I think Disney owes them, at the bare minimum, let Respawn make their game, because their game actually does sound interesting. So they can get that game out the block and let it go. Maybe we'll see something at E3 on it. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to, because Star Wars Celebration, all that's coming up. So it would be nice to maybe either see the game at Celebration or at E3. We'll have to wait and see.
Okay, so the reason why I chose to talk about this subject is because I feel that the outrage over EA canceling this game, I feel that the outrage is fake.
Possibly, yeah.
Well, when you stop and look at it, EA has a reputation for being the most egregious publisher in gaming. That was until recently, until Bethesda and Activision showed up to try to take that crown from them. But EA has one of the worst reputations in gaming, and every time EA comes out with a game, now people are apprehensive about the game. They can't concrete say, yes, I'm going to get this game. Every time you mention the EA game to them, everybody is cautious and say, we'll have to wait and see, because they want to see what kind of monetization scheme the EA is going to put into this game. So I feel that this outrage is fake, because if EA would have completed this Star Wars game, these same people that act like they're furious about the game getting canceled would have been apprehensive about picking up the game because of microtransactions.
Possibly. Good point. I mean, to me, it's 6 one way, half a dozen the other. I
But the game had a strong possibility of failing because of EA's reputation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, and who knows? Maybe they still make the game. They just when they pull it out of EA, they may call, who knows? Maybe they call Amy Hennig and they say, "Look, do you want to make this game or not?" But I really hope Disney, because they're making they're going to make there's another Star Wars movie that's in they're shooting it right now. Shout out to John Boyega. He let, if you follow him on Twitter, he had some set pictures up yesterday or day before yesterday. But yeah, I certainly hope, like I said, it cleans itself up. Disney should just make, because they're doing all that live animation and stuff like that now, and they should open up a gaming studio. I really would wish they bring back Lucas Arts. So because they made X-Wing Alliance, X-Wing, they made TIE Fighter, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. They made a ton of games. And so yeah, because
they did. I remember during the first Xbox generation, I think I played the Star Wars Battlefront game of that time, which I really liked.
Made that.
And I think I played a Star Wars game where Darth Vader was taking in a pupil and was trying to teach him the dark side of the Force. But at that point, there were so many Star Wars games coming out, I couldn't keep up with them. Yeah,
you had Jedi Academy, you had Star Wars Obi-Wan. I mean, those games were on the Xbox. I mean, that's what I really remember about it. Back in the day, you had to have an Xbox to play those games. And I guess, they get them on PC now. But back in the day, they weren't on PC. But with that said, Star Wars, yeah, I certainly hope Disney looks into this doing their own studio. I'm sure the cost effectiveness would be fine. It's a business, so somebody would have to make a business proposition to them.
Yeah, definitely. So let's move on to the next subject. And I've seen a video from the Quartering, and he was contacted, I guess, by a couple of people in Australia, and we are looking at the possibility of Fallout 76 becoming a free-to-play game.
Sounds right. Yeah. But that game's trash. So, but if it goes free to play and they make it cross-play, it could probably survive. But I heard it's bad. I haven't played it. Shout out to everybody that's played it and enjoyed it. I've heard it's bad.
In my opinion, first of all, to follow up on what he was saying about the game possibly going free to play, is he said he followed up on that and he contacted, numerous GameStops, which they were either out of physical copies or they were running low on them. And he went to the Amazon website and they only had one physical copy left for the PS4. And in one case, I think one of the GameStops, another thing that supports his theory is one of the GameStops that he contacted had a sale, I guess, where you buy one copy of Fallout 76 and get another copy free, or 50% off or something like that. But whatever the case is, why would you need two copies of the same game?
Yeah, maybe give one to a friend. I don't know.
Exactly. So, so his point was that they are doing everything possible to try to get these games off the shelf, to move what's left of stock so they can get ready to make this game free to play. And so my take on this was that if this game becomes free to play, it would be the final slap in the face for the dumbass people who bought this game, that paid for this game. Now, if you bought the game and you like it, then you're exempt from this conversation. But if you bought the game and you're outraged by it, then you're the dumb motherfucker who bought the game that was warned that it was broken.
Yeah, they told everybody it was broken. I just don't think, but they'll ever be able to. I don't think they'll ever be able to make another game as good as Fallout 3 in that series. To me, Fallout 3 is a masterpiece. I had all that DLC back in the day, and it's a shame that it went out like this. But
but they brought it on them. They kind of brought it on themselves, though. Now, fair enough, and in fairness, they did warn everybody that it was a broken game. But that situation with the Nuka Dark Rum had a lot of people upset. But more than anything, when they fucked them over with their canvas bag, that was to me, that was something that should have had to, where the fucking government should have jumped in on this shit and told them to get this shit right, or face face some kind of sanction or something.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me if it went free to play. If they could say we would like to make it free to play and then maybe cross play, I think that's one way. I think that's one way they could save it, but then that would be up, of course, to Microsoft and Sony to do that. So I don't know, but I don't understand what the game's about. If you're playing it with a group of people, I mean, Fallout is about survival. I thought Fallout 3 I thought was the best out of all of it. I know people love Fallout. I didn't like Fallout New Vegas at all. But they said if you were a fan of the original Fallout, you love New Vegas, which but I prefer Fallout 3. Fallout 4, it felt like DLC. They could have charged people $39.99 and had that game be DLC. Just cut out some of the crazy stuff. The teleportation and all that stuff. But it was just like Fallout 3. It was just like Fallout 3. So
1 second, Craig.
Yeah. Well, this looks nasty outside.
Okay, I am back. Thank you. I had to explain to my son to put on the headset because he does not have the game turned up very loud, but it is coming through extremely loud. I swear to God, I cannot, quit looking at the TV thinking that he turned the TV up when he didn't, because it's not loud, but God, does it sound loud.
Now you're talking.
Well, that's the Yeti microphone picking up everything. This thing picks up a pin dropping.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you do have the big new microphone.
Mm-hmm.
You forget about
Yeti microphone that I pay $100 for. But my intentions of buying this microphone, at first I wasn't going to buy it because I didn't see the need to buy it. I was just going to buy a regular, $30 cheap microphone. But I decided that, since I'm going to, be more vested in YouTube, and I figured, might as well buy a good microphone, not to mention that I plan on either buying a gaming PC or building one, even though I feel I do not need it.
Yeah. I've got one of those, but it's as far as doing the 4K thing and all that, I understand why people would shy away from it. That gets expensive with PC gaming, but yeah, I understand.
Before we move on to the next subject, Christopher Hart, Bethesda is definitely well invested in PlayStation VR because that gives their games a second life. After sales fall off and whatnot, then they can move the game over to PSVR and extend the life of the game. And believe me, if the hardware can handle it, it's not a matter of if, but when they move Fallout 76 to VR.
Yeah. Yeah, which that would be a different way to, I guess, play a Fallout game. But I just don't. I think they would try to do free to play with crossplay first, because they did get called on the carpet for not making. They said it's not designed to do crossplay, so maybe going free to play wouldn't be a bad idea. To me, that's what it should have been in the first place. And then, and if you wanted to access it, like on a beta, I mean, maybe making a beta and then say pay $20 to access it. That's what I would have done. I mean, that's me personally. Didn't maybe let people mod it and stuff like that. That's really, I didn't get what they were doing with that. Now I'm worried about is it Starfield or something like that they're supposed to make. I'm worried about that game or anything.
Yep. I want to respond to a couple of comments, Craig, and then the next subject that we move into is going to be your department. I'm just going to give a couple of takes on it, and this will be all yours. Arian Drake, I do not know if this Yeti microphone will be good for online play or not, because I have never really played. I haven't played a computer online game in about 25 years. So this is going to be my first time really getting deep into playing online, on the PC. And then, uncompetitive in terms of the blue logo and the microphone picking up unwanted noises. The fact of the matter is, when I go back and listen to the replays of my podcast, this microphone filters out a lot of that unwanted noise. But while I'm sitting here live, it picks up everything. And I'm under the impression that I'm hearing everything, but it filters it out, so it's not there on the replay. So when I go back and listen to the replay of this podcast, all that noise that I'm fussing about is barely there. But in the meantime, the here and now, it sounds like the TV is right next to me, even though this microphone is not facing the TV. My son is over into the next room, but yet it sounds like he's right next to me.
It's got good sound capture.
Yeah, without a doubt. So moving on to the next subject, and this one is your department, and that is about about these so-called console specs that got leaked out for Lockhart, for the PS5, and for Anaconda. I just want to give my take on this real quick. I think with Anaconda, to get to the nuts and bolts of it, these specs try to claim that Anaconda is going to be 12 teraflops at $500. That the PS5 is going to be 8 teraflops at $400, and that Lockhart, which is supposed to be the streaming console, is going to be 4 teraflops at $250. And that was the thing that stood out to me. You're talking about making a streaming console with stats this comparable to the PlayStation Pro for $150 cheaper. And which I felt like that wouldn't be possible, but hey, I don't know, but all of it looked fishy to me. And this is where I took your same path, where this is definitely one area where I don't care how many rumors come out. I don't care how many videos that Mads comes out with. I won't get into the specs and even try to speculate on the specs until I hear it from Sony.
Mm-hmm.
So with these specs that came out, what is your take on it? And if you feel that it's fake, break it down to me how, hey, this is where it's fake. This is how I know that this is not true.
Yeah, it's fake. The shout out to Ryan, the professional. He commented on it this morning. And that person's stuff's already been taken off of Reddit, where that came from. So yeah, they're fake. The problem is right now is you have a group of people who have dedicated channels. They have dedicated channels, and they don't have any hardware or any games to talk about. So it'll change once at least Crackdown comes out. And but Matt, shout out to Matt's Gaming. He changed his name to Clickbait Mats for about a week there, and there's a reason why. Yeah, I would not believe anything until AMD and or Sony and Microsoft drops what the specs are going to be. So, and nobody really knows that. I mean, there are some you just all you know is AMD said they got 4K native 30 FPS lock with 7.4 TFLOPs for all Sony's games. Their first party games. So now you have a minimum. It will be 7.4. So if they go for 60 FPS and all that stuff, the CPU they were talking about, that's a Ryzen either 26 or it's like a Ryzen 2600 or something like that. And that's a $350 CPU. Ooh. So it was fake. I mean, it was funny. I was listening to some podcasts yesterday, and they were acting like it was true. It's like there's no way this is true. Look, a lot of people got embarrassed by CES because they swore up and down that you were going to see Navi tech and maybe hardware announcements and stuff like that, and none of that was there. None of that was there. So they looked stupid. You had the same guy who said that when they announced Vega, they being AMD, announced that Vega GPU, they were going around acting like that was the new Xbox. They were literally online on Max's channel talking about that's the new Xbox. And it's like, it's crazy. It is crazy, but it was fake. So I'm pretty confident that the new PlayStation will be more powerful than the next Xbox. And we all know Sony will make another SKU like they did this time. They made the Pro. They're going to do, and that's what they're really afraid of. They think, okay, the Maverick, whatever you're going to call it, they think that's going to be not as powerful as the PS5. But then Microsoft will come back with their next console, which will be the Anaconda. Well, then a year or two later, Sony is going to drop their console, their whatever you want to call it, PS5 Plus, PS5 Pro. They're really afraid of that. That's what they're afraid of, is Sony having a more powerful console. So, but so as soon as they see specs, they jump at it. That's what you saw yesterday. But okay. They're fake, like fake 4K on fake HDR. It's fake. So
yeah. I don't know anything about specs. You can't, you can throw some specs at me and I would look at it and just be like, okay, there's not anything that I can look at and be like, oh, this is going to be powerful. Oh, this is going to be a beast, or oh, this is going to be garbage. I just don't know. And I'm not going to try to act like I know. Let me respond to a couple of comments. Saris is great, which this is a good one right here. He said, have you noticed it almost every time something new on PS5 in terms of spec leaks out, at counter spec narrative on Xbox 4 comes out soon afterwards, which is a good point. I have noticed that every time something comes out about the PS5, it gets countered with a leak from the Xbox side. Have you noticed that?
Me? Yeah. And the fact is that you got people. Here's what we know is that, and shout out to Foxy Games, like he said, Sony helped develop the Navi tech. Now, to what end they did that, we don't know. Is it Sony proprietary technology? Again, we don't know. That was what I was hoping was going to be answered at CES. I'm like, man, I certainly hope somebody at least asked them. Now Forbes reported it was going to be that Sony was helping them out in June of last year. And it kind of got confirmed by a bunch of different sites. They cited several different people had told them it was true, but Sony has not come out and said that, neither has AMD. So I'm like 80% sure Sony has that, and that Microsoft's console is going to be Vega based.
Mm-hmm.
Again, let's just wait and see. Let's just wait and see. And shout out to Matt's Gaming, because when he said that, he said from what he understood, Vega would be more or less what the Xbox has in it, and Navi will be what the PlayStation would have in it. Now, they're going to both do the exact same thing, just as Navi will do it more efficiently. And then shout out to J-Dub City, because when he came onto my podcast, gracious enough to come to my podcast, that's what he had to really explain to me. He said it won't matter. He said they could have the Xbox could be 12 T-flops, but if it's running on Vega, it's going to have to do things differently than, say, Navi running at 10 T-flops. Navi will be much more efficient in what it does, so it will do things faster. It's the better processor. When you pull up the AMD tree of how they break down their tree, it has, Jaguar, whatever, Polaris, whatever it was having on there, and it said Vega. and then after that it said Navi. You know, that's what it said. So Navi is since that will be the newest one, it will do things better than the Vega. That's just reality. You know, that's just the way it is. So now we have to wait and see. And like you just said, that's why and I've said this, it's not true until they say it's true. You know, but I think you got some people who are desperate to get some clicks, so they're looking for anything. And it's not just him. Shout out to Robin Gaming. He's, you know, with Sony not having an E3, he has really nothing to cover. You know, as far as his podcast and his on what he talks about, which is Sony PS4 dedicated. That, you know, those people getting hurt by Sony not being at E3. They're having to speculate. You know, that's why you're saying what game's going to come out this year. Will it be Ghost of Tsushima? Will it be Death Stranding? You know, more than likely it's going to be Death Stranding, more than likely. But we have to wait and see. You know, we know Days Gone and MLB The Show is coming out, you know, in the next 100 days. So, so yeah.
Yeah, and see what you just said right there about, you know, about the rumors of the Xbox using a different processor, this Vega shit that you're talking about. See, I wouldn't have known anything about that. I'd have been like, okay, they're going in a different direction for whatever reason. I wouldn't have known. See, so what J Dub told you about, you know, the Vega CPU having to, you know, take a different route to accomplish its goal, I never would have known that shit. But the big thing that was glaring to me was how much power that the Anaconda was supposed to have compared to the PS5, and how you had the Lockhart, which was supposed to be the bottom of the line console, having 4 T-flops at $249. At this point, I was like, this shit looks fishy. And I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if this is an Xbot trying to stir the pot, because these specs that he showed favors Microsoft.
Yeah, I agree with that. And again, I would just simply say that all we really know is, like I said, it's just the stuff that's been publicized has been verified. So all we know is that, again, they got 4K 30 with 7.4 T-flops. That's on all PlayStation first-party games, okay? We know that AMD has come out and said that, okay? So we also know that that Navi had been speculated since last June. We now have verification from AMD that they do have a Navi-based GPU they're working on. It's called our new GPU called Navi. We know that AMD, that Lisa Su, whatever her name is, said it on CNBC that they're helping both Microsoft and Sony with their quote secret sauce.
I like that one.
Yeah, those are her words. So, you know, so it's crazy, but that's what's been verified. Everything else has just been, you know, what somebody has been secondhand information. It doesn't matter who it's come from, because it's not come from AMD, it's not come from Sony, so or nothing from AMD for Microsoft. So yeah.
So I don't know. So this week, I think was a little bit of a slow week in terms of news that I thought was worth covering. So that was pretty much it. The only thing that I had left to talk about was my Ace Combat 7 impressions based on the VR mode, because I haven't really dipped into the campaign that much. I only did enough to start the campaign. You know, and you know, to get my impressions on the VR mode is, like I said, you know, it didn't have a wow factor the way Firewall did. And that's not to say that that's bad. It actually is a wow factor. It's just that Firewall wowed me more. It was like the genre that I was looking for in VR had finally come to life, you know, and I think this is another genre that finally come to life, a flight simulator that looks realistic. And you know, the VR content is amazing for what's there. But I think this, you know, over looking at the big picture, I think this is definitely, as you said, as they add more content to this, I think it could, you know, sell more VR units at a slow burn, but I think it will definitely sell some more VR units. It'll probably sell a few flight sticks like it did with me yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think that that's the good part of this. The bad part of this is that there's enough there that made me want more, and there's enough there that made me, excited for the next generation, because I feel like these consoles, the next generation, the PS5 in particular, and the PSVR, next generation of VR, I feel like publishers and developers are only going to be limited by their imagination and not by the hardware. So everything that might be missing on this Ace Combat VR, everything that's missing on GT Sport and VR, everything that's missing in all these VR games will be there the next generation. So, VR, multiplayer, co-op, better graphics, better frame rates, all that kind of stuff, I would like to think will be their next generation, and that won't be an issue for publishers. It's just a matter of how creative they can get. So,
the first party, the publishers, I would look towards. I would look more favorable at taking advantage of that VR first, because Sony probably has to reach a certain benchmark for a lot of third-party guys to really start investing in it. Same with the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
That launched with minimum first-party support, and then they reached a benchmark. Now they're getting more third-party support. So the VR is the same way. It's a first-party device. I mean, you got to really enjoy VR, and yeah, they do have some neat experiences on there, but they probably has to reach at least 4.5 million or something like that for the other companies to start making dedicated game software, gaming for it, or adding to it. This company they did it with 3 missions. They're going to add more. So that's good. That is good news.
I think we're moving in that direction right now because of making a rough guess. I think Sony is sitting on roughly 5 million units sold on the PlayStation VR. Okay. And so the answer, a question from Sarah is great. Isn't it disappointing that Ace Combat has such limited VR playability? I don't want to use the word disappointing because I think it's a great experience. I just wish it had more. I think that's a better way of saying it. Because what they do have is amazing. I just wish there was more of it. So, yeah, it's no different than Beat Saber. What a great game. They just need more songs. So it's not a disappointing experience. I just want more from it. I want more songs out of Beat Saber. I want more VR missions out of Ace Combat 7. So what's there is amazing.
Yeah, and if it was a Sony first-party studio, they may have done it differently. So, but I think whoever made Ace Combat's not a first-party studio. It's a Sony. It's a studio that and then they I don't know if they self-published that game, but VR and stuff like that, and getting that down correctly. They have to. That's more money in development and stuff like that. So, but it's not like it's terrible. Like you said, it's almost like you like an album that you bought but only has 9 tracks on it. You're like, oh man, I remember I bought Sade's album, Love Deluxe, and I loved it, but only had like 14 tracks. Like, man, I wish it had like 18 tracks.
Exactly, that's the best way to put it. And to combine something that you just said about third-party support, along with something that we discussed on the Roundtable podcast on Friday. Mm-hmm. I had pretty much said that. One of the questions was whether this current PlayStation VR is going to be compatible with the PS5. I think that's a given because I think Sony put a lot of work into building up the VR user base.
Yeah.
And to cut it all off and have to start all over again, you're not going to be able to get third-party developers to get on board with PSVR if they have to start over and develop something for the PlayStation 5 and it's only available on the PlayStation 5. You're only going to sell, a few hundred thousand copies maybe. But if you allow this current iteration of VR to be compatible with the PS5, now it's worth the investment because now anything that they develop can sell on the PS5 as well as the current gen consoles. So, now you have the possibility of developing something and you have the potential for 5 million people to pick it up on the current hardware and then whatever is going to be out there next generation. So I think it's only going to continue to grow, and I said before that I think that's the good part. And I actually think that's a good thing that Microsoft is finally going to get on board with VR, but they don't. I don't really tip my hat off to them because they didn't see something special in it the way Sony did because they bailed out for whatever reason. Sony stuck with it. But I think again with them getting on board, that's going to mean more third party support because now they have now they can reach two different platforms. Actually three if you include PC. Now there's a chance for them to really cash in on some of these games. But the bad thing I think I could foresee is that 5 years from now, if VR is really, really huge, here comes the microtransactions. Here comes the egregious shit that we're seeing on flat screen games right now.
Possible. I mean, if third-party developers get involved, yeah, I could unfortunately see that.
Mm-hmm. As far as third-party support goes, it's moving in that direction right now because they're slowly starting to get on board because Bethesda is definitely invested in VR, and I feel like it's only a matter of time before Fallout 76 comes to VR if the hardware can handle it. And then you have Ubisoft that's made a couple of VR games with Eagle Flight and Star Trek Bridge Crew. And they're coming out with another game called Space Junkies that's supposed to come out this year. That I feel like it's a first-person shooter, but it's got similarities to Call of Duty Advanced Soldier or whatever, jumping around in these spacesuits and stuff. So, but this is a Ubisoft game, a third-party developer taking like a third dip into VR. So I think it is slowly happening where third-party, support for VR is slowly starting to happen. And why wouldn't it happen? Because a lot of these developers are starting to get on board and seeing what kind of money is in mobile.
Yeah, well, again, that's true. Part of like I said, part of the VR thing is you have to, it's cumbersome, so maybe they can cut back on some of the wiring. It's not as heavy as I thought it'd be, but it's not for everybody. So, but hopefully they keep making the investment. It sounds like with PS5, from what I've heard, they're still doing they're going to jump. They're going in more with it. They said they would. So we have to wait to see how that bears fruit.
Yeah, and the VR that you have is the day one VR that came out in October 2016. So it is cumbersome, and but the current iteration that I have with the HDR pass through, it is lighter, it is less cumbersome, and there is only one cord running from the VR headset to the processor box. So the wiring has been minimized. The one you have, unfortunately, you have one wire running into a huge plug with two thick wires that run into the processor box. So I knew they would revise it, but it kind of it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll redefine it and they'll work on it. They're a tech company, so they'll work on it as well. I've always said that they're a tech company, and so people don't look at Sony like that.
Truth be told, the current iteration of the VR that I have right now with HDR pass-through, as I was saying, with only one cord running from the headset to the processor box, it makes it much more manageable. And truth be told, the only part of it that I feel is cumbersome is, making sure that you leave enough slack on the cord that it doesn't yank on the processor box. I think right now, with the current iteration of the VR, the only thing they really have to eliminate is the processor box. I don't want a wireless VR headset the next time because I think there's going to be a lot of lag because of the transfer time, from signals going back and forth between the console and the headset. So I would prefer it to be hardwired. So
I understand that. I hope they can work on some type of Bluetooth to make it wireless, but that's just a hope. If they can't make that work, which is understandable. But again, like people have said that there was a generational that wasn't. They changed things from the first year of it to the second iteration of it. So you have to figure the second to third year they'll make another adjustment. So it'll probably have 3 to 4 I guess, iterations before they get it down to where they want it. And they may be able to do it wirelessly, but if Vive has wireless, they may have some type of, hold on it, some type of patent, and can't get around it. They have to work out another way to get around it. So,
Yeah. Fatal Sharad, you were saying that in that case, Craig, you should look into Rift's $200 wireless headset. I will say this much: that
this one's fine. This one is fine. It's cumbersome. So, like I said, with the PC being, I had that PC hooked up to the TV first, so everything was just in the same side. It looked like a rat's nest. So I packed the VR back up, and I'm on the PC, just making sure, because there's stuff on here that that I've never had to use before. So in learning how to operate through Steam and in Origins and all that stuff, it's a pain in the ass. So I was like, well, I'll put VR down for now, because Ace Combat wasn't coming out, for another week and a half, and I wasn't going to get it till around the 25th or 26th anyway. So I'm like, I'll break it back out when I roll in here with Ace Combat. That's simple.
So yeah, well, also Fatal Sharad, I wanted to say that when I pick up a gaming PC here in a couple of months, because I could easily buy it today if I wanted to, but I got a certain amount of money that I got tucked away, and I just don't want to cut into it. So I'm waiting to get my taxes back. So when I do buy this gaming PC or build it, whatever the case may be, my out-of-pocket money will be minimal. But once this, whether I buy it or whether I build it myself, once it's complete, it is a giving that I am going to buy some kind of VR headset for it. I don't know whether I'm going to get Vive or whether I'm going to get Oculus. In my case, it's not going to be so much a case of which one is better. It is going to be a case of which headset is going to allow me the best experience with the least amount of space needed.
Yeah. Like I said, cumbersome. Yeah, me, because I'm in my living room with my TV. I've had to move my little glass table and everything, which was not that big a deal. But then when I played Eve Valkyrie, that was to set everything up. Then when I played Eve Valkyrie, of course, everything was back where it normally is. So, but yeah, it was cool. It was cool. And Fatal Sharad said he'd go Oculus. Well, that's fine. I'm not. Oculus was good too. I did that VR. They had that set up at Best Buy about a year ago, and I'm like, yeah, that was a good VR too. I think you were on like mountain climbing or something like that. It was actually a pretty cool demo that they had hooked up. So haven't done Vive.
I don't know. I guess if it came down to it, I've got plastic too. I've got, I got a Best Buy card with a $2,500 limit. I got Visas. I got Target cards, Walmart cards. So, and like I said, I definitely got a good chunk of change put away, so I could still go buy a PC right now, and it would barely scratch me. So I guess if I really, 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 really wanted to, because my Visa has not my Visa, but my Best Buy card has a $2,500 limit, which I could request more if I wanted to.
Damn. I said, damn.
Well, what's crazy, Craig? I used to have some super fucked up credit. And my mother had me on her name on her account at the credit union. So my name was on the account too, because, I had shit in collection, and I didn't want to run the risk of opening up a bank account and then they, take the money from the account to cover shit that went into collection. So eventually all that stuff got resolved. I ended up eventually paying all that shit off. But the thing that put me in the position that I'm in right now is, so I go off and I get a Visa from a credit union. And they said, what do you want for a limit? And I said, give me $1,000. And it didn't take me long for me to max the thing out. And then the only time I would put money on the card was when I needed to buy something online. So it was like maybe 3-4 years ago, I was planning to buy some 24-inch wheels for my car. And the kind that I wanted, I could only get them online. So what I did was I paid off my Visa. I paid the thing completely off, and then I was going to turn around and buy those rims online, and it was going to shoot it right back up to $1,000 and max it out. And I was going to leave it there. But once I paid the thing off and I had a zero balance, I'd like the thought of being able to go anywhere and be able to buy anything and like not have to move money around to buy something. So
Yeah.
I like keeping it at a zero balance. So what I was doing was I stopped carrying cash on me and I was using my Visa for everything, for groceries, for gas, paying bills and stuff like that. And then when I got paid the following week, I would pay everything off that week and I would bring the balance back down to zero every week. And I didn't realize that was building my credit up doing that. And so Best Buy was one of the places that was notorious for not giving me a credit card. I go there and, so I went to JCPenney first.
Yeah.
And they said, yeah. And they gave me I was like, you guys are probably going to reject me. And she was like, well, it couldn't hurt to try. She was like, just for filling out the application, we'll give you 20% off your purchase.
Oh,
okay.
Well, that's a win. Yeah.
Right. So I filled it out and they approved me right on the spot for $500. I was like, damn. I said, well, let me go try Best Buy because them motherfuckers don't like me. They don't want to give me shit. Yeah. So I go over there and I fill out an application. And they approved me. They said, how much do you want? And I said, like, what you want? 1,000, 15, 20? I was like, 25. And they was like, sure. They gave me 25. And they said, do you want a regular Best Buy card or do you want a Visa along with that? So it'll be a Visa that you can use anywhere. I said, well, I already have a Visa. So just make the Best Buy card. $2,500. Then I go to Walmart. All this happened in the same day. I go to Walmart and they approved me on $4,000. Huh?
Yeah, usually drive your score down because if there's that many inquiries.
Yeah, and then I went to Target and got approved the same day.
Wow.
And so then at that point, my mother told me, you don't want to get any more credit cards because that's going to affect your credit score. Right. And the credit union themselves told me the same thing because they said you got good credit, but the thing is you got a lot of accounts open. Even if you're not using them, they're still there. So she said, don't get any more credit cards because I was getting ready to get a loan from them to buy a car and it was going to affect my interest rate because of my credit score, because of how many credit cards I had.
Yeah. Yeah, I found that out the hard way.
I mean, but, Target definitely liked me because when they approved me for the card, they gave me a $500 limit. Now I'm already up to like $4,000 with them. And this has been barely like a year and a half now.
Wow.
And so Walmart's been a little bit stingy. They started me out with $1,000 and I'm only up to $1,400. My Visa, when I, through my credit union, started out at $1,000. Then I requested it to go up to 2,000. Then I requested it to go up to 3,000. And that was the last time I requested anything. But, then I get a letter from them and I'm like, what the fuck going on? I tear it open. They telling me that my limit is 5,000 now.
Damn.
So they love them some Lincoln Clay because I've been buying up electronics. Well, as far as my Visa goes, I use it for everything. I use it to stay alive. I buy groceries, gas. I pay my bills with it.
Yeah.
And then as far as the other stuff, the Target, the Walmart, and Best Buy and shit like that, yeah. I don't buy anything unless I already have the money in my account and prepared to pay for it.
Yeah. Well, I recommend that for everybody. Yeah.
It's not a situation where I'm living check to check.
Yeah.
Having to not pay this week's bill in order to, cover last week's bill from something else. Anything that I buy, I already have the money to cover it.
Oh.
And I don't. So it's, it's a simple situation, so it's like, so like this PC that I'm thinking about buying, I can go buy it right now if I want to, as soon as this podcast is over, because I have the money in my savings account to cover it. But I don't really want to cut into that money. So I wanted to wait until I get my taxes back.
Yeah, which I don't blame you. And if you get that PC, I would just, everybody's different, but you can get Devil May Cry and Division Part 2 and get there was a third game I can't remember. But if you get that new Vega GPU, so if you can buy one without a GPU that you want to drop, that 699 or whatever that Vega GPU is going to be, they can run if you want 4K 60, there's where you go. You say I need a CPU that can run 4K. I'm going to get that new such and such card. But yeah, I feel you. I understand. So
Fatal Sherrod was asking me how much this PC costs. I'm at the Best Buy website right now. I'm going to try to find a PC that had caught my eye. It was a CyberPower.
oh, I'm just kidding with you. I've not heard good things about them.
You have or haven't?
I have not, but you know.
It was a CyberPower gaming PC. That I think it was going to cost this. This could be it right here.
You're not talking about that first one, the 579 one, are you?
Let me see. It's a CyberPower PC, Gaming Master desktop, AMD Ryzen 7 series, 16 gigabytes of memory, NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2070, 2 terabyte hard drive, 240 gigabyte solid state drive. This PC is $1,400.
Oh, I think I see it. Is that the?
It's white.
Okay, what I'm looking at is black. What kind of GPU did you say? The 2080?
The GPU, yeah, the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2070.
Oh, the 2070. The one I'm looking at is black, $13.99.
Well, this one is $13.99 also.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, maybe we could possibly be looking at the same PC. Maybe it just offers different colors. Who knows?
Yeah. It's got hot. Yeah, it says save $20 on Microsoft Office with device. I'm trying. What's the OS?
For the one that I'm looking at, same thing. It says save $20 on special offer. Save $20 on Microsoft Office. Save $30 to $50 on printer.
Yeah,
20%, all that stuff. So, does yours say the same thing? That it says Gaming Master Desktop.
Yeah.
So I think we might be looking at the same one, but for whatever reason, it's showing a white one as the default color, and you're looking at a black one. It seems.
Yeah, the one I'm looking at is black. Yeah, i7. Yeah, 16 gigabytes of memory. The NVIDIA GT. Yeah, RTX 2070. That's got ray tracing on it.
You wait a minute. You said i7. You talking about the like Intel Core i7?
Yeah.
No, well then we must be looking at different. You're looking at a different one. You're looking at a iBuyPower desktop.
Yeah, I am. Yep, I just saw that.
Yep. See, I'm looking at the CyberPower PC, and you're looking at the iBuyPower desktop.
Okay. Yeah. Let me put in this CyberPower desktop. Yep. CyberPower desktop PC. I see it now.
Fatal Sherrod saying no, don't buy CyberPower.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't heard great things about them, but yeah, it's $116 a month.
I would buy the thing outright.
Oh no, I understand. Yeah, yeah, I see it. You can probably walk in there if you want to walk in there with that kind of cash. You can see it. Like,
but the thing about it, man, you know, God, man, the blessings have finally been coming to me because I'm so happy where I'm working at now. I just got moved to a new position. Mm-hmm. And the job pays me $2 more an hour than what I'm making.
Yeah, that's always good.
So,
hey, it comes with a free game download.
So my point being is that with all the overtime that I've already been working, with an extra $2 more an hour, with all the overtime that I've been working, that's gonna you know, significantly affect my check for the better. You know, and then my child support's been cut in half. I went from paying, you know, $100 a week to $47 a week, which is huge.
That's not bad at all.
No. So, I mean, jeez, you know, but I was already living comfortably anyway when I was paying $100 a week because I was prepared for this storm. So I started putting away money, you know, once I got that paper that, child support was being filed against me.
Oh!
Started making the move to start putting money away.
Oh yeah.
So I was well prepared for it.
Oh yeah. I can't lie. It's got a Ryzen 7 for people. It's got a Ryzen 7 2700X processor. So that's
which one are you talking about?
The one you're looking at.
Okay.
That's actually a pretty good processor.
You're talking about the AMD Ryzen 7 series?
Yeah.
But Fatal Sherrod saying no, don't mess with CyberPower.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've not heard great things about them either. So, but but yeah, I mean, well, probably because it's got slower memory in it. I think it said, guy says it's got 2400 in there, but it lets you go up to 32 if you want to upgrade your card. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't hurt to try. You could probably, if you're gonna build one at 1400, yeah, you can build a monster PC at about 50 at this point. But
yeah,
everybody's different.
So you know, so my big concern is that building a PC.
Yeah.
I don't want to buy it. I don't want to build a PC with mismatched parts, and then I'm dealing with compatibility issues that, you know, it doesn't want to take the operating system. The motherboard doesn't want to work with the processor, all that kind of shit, you know, because if it doesn't work right, then I would end up having to take it to a store, you know, to a repair shop and let them figure out why it doesn't work, because I wouldn't be able to figure it out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Oh, now I'm reading my Twitter right now. So
you know, Jemiah Dixon, it was like, don't buy a PC from Best Buy. You know, maybe I am overthinking this, you know, Jemiah Dixon. I'm not debating that. And then to answer one of Uncompetitive's comments, he was like, you know, why am I buying a PC when the PS5 is coming up? That's the one thing that I stressed when I first talked about this. I don't need a PC. You know, but when I mentioned the possibility of buying a gaming PC, a big smile cracked on my son's face. So he's going to get more use out of it than I will. You know, he wants to play Gears of War and PC, amongst other things. The biggest thing that I would use this gaming PC for is VR. But you're absolutely right. You know, I don't need it. And you know what the kind of power that I imagine that the PS5 is going to have, and how, you know, the potential of the next iteration of the PlayStation VR next generation, I absolutely do not need this PC, but I'm still gonna go ahead and buy it. Not only for gaming purposes, you know, I still might, you know, use it to make better videos, you know, for YouTube.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I think Thrash said something about getting a capture card. I think somebody's sending him a capture card or something, because like Thrash can work wonders with that PlayStation Share Factory. And
yeah, they need to ask Thrash to do a tutorial on and put it up on YouTube, because I want to start doing some uploads.
Yeah, he taught me everything that I know about the PlayStation Share Factory. So everything that I've done, every videos that I've made using the PlayStation Share Factory, all that knowledge came from Thrash. He taught me everything. So he is the man. I think another person who makes great videos using the PlayStation Share Factory was the Key 25. He's a YouTuber that's really good at GT Sport. That dude is good. I mean, like every race that he shows, he usually finishes up in the top 5. He makes those videos look like a highlight reel from the Speed Week channel or something like that. He'll show you the inside cockpit angle of the car, and then up in the upper corner, he'll show you the race camera views while he's giving commentary. And he's doing all this with the Share Factory as well. He's another one that if you could find a way to talk to him and ask him what he does, he'd be another good one to talk to. But right now, Thrash, he's probably the most accessible and the best at it that you could talk to.
Oh yeah, no, I'll be happy to look at that. So yeah, because I want to start downloading stuff, so or uploading, I should say.
And some of these videos that he makes, if I did it, it would probably take me like 3-4 days to make some of these videos that Thrash makes. But he's able to pump out these videos with nice effects and nice quality, and able to, you know, pump them out in a few hours.
Yeah, that's what I need.
No, so I mean, I could tell you the basics of it, but I mean, if you want to get real good at it, like I said, Thrash is the person you want to talk to, and you probably want to talk to him pretty soon, because he eventually wants to move on and start using PCs to make videos, because he wants to start making better videos. And so I think, you know, him getting sent that capture card at Delgado or something like that, I think that's the first phase of him wanting to you know, make better videos. So I do know that he wanted to move in that direction in terms of making a better video. So I talked to him while this PlayStation Factory shit is still fresh in his head.
Yeah, I'll definitely try to get in touch with him. So I'll send him an email. I know he's a busy man. So, but yeah, that's cool. But yeah, I definitely want to look into doing that. So,
all right. With that being said, I'm about ready to shut it down. We've been on for almost 2 hours now.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I need to, get some breakfast and see what my son wants to eat.
Yeah.
And then I'm ready to game. I'm ready to jump on the VR, and that's the other thing I did want to say before we get off of here about the Ace Combat 7 in VR. That even though that content is limited, it solidified that the majority of the games that I want to play are in VR. I probably say 80 to 90% of the games that I play now are in VR. It's like I almost want to play everything in VR now, and that's another reason why I'm excited for next generation. I want to play everything in VR, and Ace Combat 7 solidified that. When I want to jump in a plane, I want to do it in VR. When I want to jump in a race car, I want to do it in VR. When I want to kill somebody, I want to do it in VR.
Yeah, nah. It's you got the VR bug. There ain't nothing wrong with that. As long as you're enjoying it, that's the main thing.
And that's not going to die anytime soon, because any video game that I've ever played, like, if I ever, like, whenever I play a racing game, I always wondered if I had a chance to go to the actual track and try this and drive this actual race car, how would I do?
Yeah.
And being in VR is the closest thing you're going to get to that.
Yeah, and I've heard nothing but great things about the games that are going to be coming down the line in VR. So Sony said they were going to invest more money into it, so we just have to hold them to it now. Let's see what they got coming down the pipeline.
And I believe them. It's just a matter of whether we're going to get AAA experiences or not. I mean, I know we're going to get something here and there, but I just don't know. I don't know if we're going to get to the point where every single AAA game that comes out has a VR mode to it. Just,
Yeah, I doubt that, but maybe there, you may see more first-party support for VR, like, with next generational games, or maybe The Last of Us when it comes out. Finally, they have a VR. They have some VR missions. Maybe Death Stranding, because I know Kojima was he was enamored by VR, when he first used it. So yeah. So
okay. So to use your words, is there anything you want to add?
No, I'm good. Apparently, yeah. No, I'm good. So yeah, I'm gonna play. I've been playing Witcher. I do need to go and knock the snow and ice off my truck just to make sure I can get it started. I'm off today, but I got to work tomorrow. So I want to make sure I can get all that going. And yeah, I need to run up to Best Buy and actually return something that I didn't need for the PC. So yeah.
Okay. Right now, I'm feeling like I said, I'm gonna grab a bite to eat, and then I'm gonna jump on the PlayStation and play something in VR.
There you go.
Right now, I got the Ace Combat bug, so I might stream that again because I still haven't completed that mission yet.
Yeah, go ahead and stream that. I would like to take a look at that myself. So yeah, maybe later on. But yeah, people have tweeted me. Yeah, I am going to watch the NFL today. I do want to see I do want to see both. I do want to see the Rams and the Saints play, but I don't really care for New England and Kansas City.
Yeah. Mr. Pyle, no doubt that I'm going to stream today. I don't know how much right now. The way I'm feeling right now is once I grab some breakfast, I'm feeling like I'm going to stream Ace Combat 7. It'll be the same mission because I haven't beaten the mission yet. So, but I'm getting better with each stream. I've already done 2 streams and I'm having fun with it. And I discovered a few more things within the hangar where you can move around the plane and inspect the plane and that kind of stuff. So, I definitely want to do another Ace Combat stream sometime today.
Cool.
So with that being said, if you want to shout yourself out while my guards prepare your ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I appreciate you. I like that. I appreciate you having me on again. It's good. I like it. I love the interaction with the with the chat, and yeah, keep the questions coming. And great topics again, Lincoln. And yes, keep it gaming, brother.
Without a doubt, and I really love the way this live from Wakanda is shaping up with the multiple subjects that we can talk about and get to the nuts and bolts of them. And and I definitely like that. Shout out to Sig Humor. He's doing what he's got to do.
Yep.
But with him taking these breaks, I think it allows me to do this at what I feel is a prime time. I think this is a great time to, do this stream because no matter where you are, you'll be able to watch it. Whether you're on the other side of the world, it's 6 hours ahead of us, you can still check it out. So I think this works out for everybody. So, so shout out to Sig Humor for allowing me to use this time space right here. I appreciate it. And I look forward to your next stream, Sig, when you come back. Make sure you check out Draco Rex tonight, Royal Flush Gaming. He does his streams Sunday night at 9 p.m. Always a good stream. So make sure you check that out as well. Don't forget my other YouTube friends, Craig Harris, King Thrash Gaming, Fatal Mephisto. He does several streams during the week. Make sure you check those out too.
Yep. Yeah, I'll be here. I may stream a little later on today myself. That first game I thought came on at 1:05 or 2:05, and it don't start till 3 o'clock. So I may stream a little bit here. I may stream around 1:30 or something like that. But yeah, I do have to.
Okay, without a doubt. If you should happen to go on before me, if you should happen to start streaming before me, because I don't know what time it'll be once I get done eating. If you should happen to be streaming before me, then I will wait until you're done before, like if you're doing a game stream, then I might go ahead. I'll wait until you're done with the game stream before I stream. But if you're doing a podcast, then I might go ahead and follow through on my game stream because I can come back and catch the podcast, later on in the evening.
Yeah. No, like I said, I'm a maybe. I may just come right back from the store and do nothing. But I've been playing with Richard since 8 this morning. So, trying to get all these question marks that are on the screen knocked out.
I definitely feel you. With that being said, I want to thank everybody for coming. On your way out, my guards have parting packages for you, and I definitely want to wish everybody a safe flight home. And I definitely want to thank everybody for visiting Wakanda. Give it a like, and we will see everybody next week on Live from Wakanda.
All righty, Wakanda forever.
Wakanda forever.